The script files you need are actually part of the files you copied over at the beginning, but I'm going to show you how to access them directly on your own. For this, you'll need GCFscape, so go ahead and open that up now. Okay, once it's open, go to File, Open, and the directory you're going to look in by default is C Drive, Program Files, Steam, Steam Apps, and the file you want to open is sourceengine.gcf. Then click on Open. Then double-click on the folder HL2, then Scripts, and the file you're going to need is Game Sounds Manifest. Again, this is already included in the Noesis files to copy over. This is just where to find it normally. To extract it, just right-click on it and press Extract. Now I'm not going to extract it because then I would overwrite the one we're using for Noesis, which would cause problems. So I'm going to close this, then magically head over to my Episode 1 directory and explore. And by default, this is under C Drive, Program Files, Steam, Steam Apps, your Steam username, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, then Episodic. Though this procedure works on other source games and their associated directories. Okay, before you go to scripts, the first thing you want to do is make sure your sound files are present. If I double-click on Sound here, you can see I have a sample of sound files used in Galaxy Gold. There may be more files than this on your final version of the guide. We're doing this as we go. These are the sound files used with the choreography guide. Once you've confirmed that you have your sound files present, go back to the game directory, then go to Scripts. And there's the Game Sounds Manifest file we looked at earlier. Go and double-click on it to open it. Now scroll down to the bottom. What this file does is load all the scripts for different sound files in the game, which is why it points to a bunch of different text files. To add your own sounds, you want to add your own entry in here. So for this bottom entry, notice we have a precache file, then scripts/noesis.txt. This points to another text file which will store all our script data for our sounds. And now the game will know to use it. You can add as many of these as you want. So our next step is to close this, then open up that file we're referring to. Now the easiest way to add your own sound files to the script is to simply copy and paste other entries and just change the names appropriately. But we'll run through what all these entries do. This first value in quotes is important. This is what the title of the sound file will appear as in the SDK. It's a good practice to keep this the same name as the sound file itself to avoid confusion. On the next line, you'll want the start of a curved brace symbol here. This denotes what instructions for the sound file this name represents. The next entry is channel, and you should set this to chan_voice or chan_auto. This determines what the sound is associated with, and isn't a big deal for Machinima. The next is volume, which you should leave at val_normal. Most of these values are best left at their default. If you want a louder or quieter sound, you're better off making adjustments to the file in an editor, as it's more intuitive. The next value of pitch is no exception. It's easier to change the pitch in an audio editor, so leave this value the same. Then this skips a line, which doesn't make any difference. It makes me wonder why it's even there in the first place, but it's here, so it doesn't really matter either way. So next we have sound level, and this seems kind of redundant to me since you already have a volume option. I'll leave them all at sound level 95 decibels here, which you might think is pretty loud, but it sounds about right compared to the rest of the effects in the game. A lot of the sound effects in Half-Life 2 have been mixed to achieve the maximum possible volume, even to the point of distortion. This will help balance out your own files against them. Finally, the last value is pretty important. This points to your sound file itself. So we have wave and quote marks, then quote marks around an asterisk, then the name of the sound file with the .wave extension at the end. This will point to your sound folder. If your sound is located in a subdirectory under your sound folder, you would list the subdirectory with a backslash on either end after the asterisk here. And finally, add a closing brace on the next line so it knows that this sound file entry is complete. Then just repeat the process for the remaining sound files and don't forget to change the names. Also, while you can insert stereo files in here with the right syntax, there's really no need to. It's better to make all your sound files mono before inserting them inside the game. If you have a sound effect that you need to keep the left and right data on, it's usually better to insert that in editing. Alright, this concludes sound scripts and sound editing. Next up, we'll get started on camera work.